Hey guys, welcome back to TechRadar. I'm James Peckham, and you are watching our best phone list for June 2020.
That's right, and I'm Matt Phillips, TechRadar's video producer, here to join James and ask him all the questions we need to know about these phones. But a couple of caveats before we begin. So first up, this is our list here in the UK. We do have lists for all the locations, well, most of the locations all over the world. They only vary ever so slightly. But if you are elsewhere in the world, then head to the links in the description where I've linked all of the location-specific articles. And the second thing is we are trying out a new thing here on the YouTube channel. We're using our Hawk widget, which has previously just been on the website, and it's designed to find you the best current deal you can get on that device. So all the phones we're going to talk about have deals links in the YouTube description, which you can click on, and it'll send you to the best current deal for that phone. It updates automatically. It's very clever. But of course, something to bear in mind is that we are supported by our audience. We do make commission through those links down there. So if you do use those links and those deals, you are supporting us directly, and we very much appreciate that. But without further ado, James, are you ready to crack on with our top 5 best phones you can buy right now? Unbelievable.
Let's do it.
Number 5, it surprised me to see this one in here, and I think it's potentially a phone that not a lot of people will know about. It's the Oppo Find X2 Pro. So tell us a little bit about this phone.
Yeah, this is the first time Oppo's ranked this high on our list. They've usually, I think, the highest they've ranked before has been in around 10th position or so. The Find X2 Pro is basically just this Chinese manufacturer going from strength to strength. Our reviewer Tom absolutely loved it. They have upped the price slightly this year. You are now looking at a very flagship level price in the UK specifically. That is £1,100 for the Oppo Find X2 Pro, but that is a lot of what other phones cost right now. Absolutely beautiful QHD display on this phone. Tom thinks it is a fantastic phone to hold in the hand. Again, the price is the negative here, and the battery life isn't incredible. That's why it isn't any higher than position 5, but it's definitely the most accomplished phone that we've seen Oppo make, and that's why it's at number 5.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the phones as well that is potentially different on other lists, right? So what is the availability like internationally for this phone?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a strange one. In the UK, we're getting quite a lot of Oppo phones quite well now. A lot of our major retailers, even like Carphone Warehouse, for example, is now actually stocking the Oppo range. But in the US, for example, you're not really going to find Oppo phones that much. They are a Chinese brand, and they're starting to become a much bigger deal worldwide. They're starting to make waves in India and a variety of other markets, but they're trying to do Europe first before they hit the Americas.
Yeah, interesting stuff. And, we're seeing Huawei as well push a lot more of their products internationally. So it's not against the realms of possibility that the next few Oppo phones might come to more international markets, right? And might be more readily available.
Definitely, and as you mentioned, Huawei have had a very difficult 12 months with the Android ban. So they're struggling to use Google. Well, they're not allowed to use Google mobile services on their most recent devices. So the Huawei P40 is really limited outside of markets like China because you just can't get access to. Well, you can't easily get access to services such as YouTube, a variety of other things like Gmail. Like I think Oppo does offer that alternative.
Exactly. So that's what I was just about to ask. So on Oppo, you can get to the Google Play Store and download all the apps you'd expect to see, whereas Huawei are obviously trying to build their own ecosystem around that. So there's a plus and a downside there, I suppose. Yeah,
if you're not that fussed about those having access to the Play Store and stuff, the Huawei devices still are there, but usually we're finding they're not ranking as well in these lists anymore because they're not as good for the average person that way.
Yeah, of course, understandable. So I think then let's move on to number 4, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, a much older phone, a phone that I was kind of surprised to still see on here. So why does this still rank in at number 4?
Yeah, it feels like an older phone, doesn't it? But it still only came out in August last year. It's not 12 months old.
Is that true?
Yet.
That's terrifying. Okay, it's not that old a phone then.
But 2020 has just felt that long. August 2019 for the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. We're seeing a lot of leaks already around the Note 20, so you may want to hold off buying this one just so far. Even from the aspect that the Galaxy Note 10 Plus will probably go down in price when the Note 20 comes out.
Exactly.
The Galaxy Note 10 Plus is by far the best Galaxy Note phone that we've seen from the company. This is the first time the company split into 2 different devices. Usually we just have one Note device. That's the S Pen smartphone, which is usually designed for like business users and that kind of thing. But this year they decided to do a normal one and a Plus variant. The Plus one has a slightly bigger screen. We say on this that it has the best screen on a phone. This is 6.8 inch screen, which sounds absolutely massive, but when it's in the hand, it doesn't feel that big. If you are used to using smaller phones, you probably are going to be you're not going to like this.
If you're an iPhone SE user, you might struggle.
yes, definitely. The S Pen is the main reason that you're going to be wanting to buy this. If you want a stylus, this is the best phone you can get with it. We've seen a few competitors this year. Motorola, for example, now offers a phone with a stylus. It just doesn't compare to the Galaxy Note range, though. Yeah, if you're looking for a stylus in that way, this is the phone to go for. This is some of the top-end spec from Samsung, but you're probably going to see later on in this list, without giving too many spoilers, that there is a slightly better Samsung device out there now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're absolutely right? The thing that sets this apart is the S Pen, and if that's something that's important to you, then great. It's interesting that we see these styluses sort of dip and rise in popularity. I think if 5 years ago you'd said that, well, actually, when did Apple bring out the Apple Pencil? I was going to say, if 5 years ago you'd said that Apple were going to bring out a stylus that's going to cost you £100, everybody would have laughed your head off, right? But here we are, right, with the Apple Pencil being hugely popular with iPad devices, and obviously those bigger devices, I think, lend themselves to having stylus control.
Definitely, and a variety of Android tablets now use styluses as well. That's still a rarity on phones. If you are looking for one on a phone, this is the one to go for. I don't think it's useful for the average person, really. It is usually for people who want to be taking notes, who want to be doodling on their phone, who want to be doing a variety of different business techniques, business things in that way.
Business things.
Yeah, business things.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're used to using a stylus, you think that is a groundbreaking thing, look at the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Otherwise, you may want to wait until the end of this video.
Exactly. Oh, teasing, I love it. But that brings us swiftly on to number 3 in our list, the OnePlus 8 Pro. Again, another Chinese manufacturer worming its way into the top 5 list. So why does the OnePlus 8 Pro deserve to be number 3?
Definitely. The OnePlus 8 Pro is a massive step up for OnePlus. OnePlus have been a challenger brand for ever since I've done this job, really. They've been a challenger brand for the last 6-7 years, really. And they've just been going from strength to strength. The 8 series is phenomenal considering where they've come from. Before you go into buying a OnePlus 8 Pro or even looking at OnePlus 8 Pro, you need to realize that they are no longer the challenger brand in terms of price. You are talking about top end prices here. But then again, this is the cheapest device out of these top 5 phones that we're talking about. The spec is probably slightly lower than the one we just spoken about, the Samsung or even the Oppo, but very, very minor levels. Everything just came together with the OnePlus 8 Pro. They finally kicked the camera up a gear. The camera is absolutely brilliant on this phone. You've got 5G connectivity put in here. You've also got wireless charging. This is the first time that OnePlus has ever offered that, even though it's been on the iPhone and a variety of other devices for the last few years. The display technology is absolutely brilliant, and just everything comes together here. And we're still below £1,000 when we're talking about the price, which is which, as I say that, makes it sound which sounds a bit ridiculous, but that's the point we're at with phones at the moment. If you are looking for these top end devices, you're not going to be able to find anything you're not going to find anything around the £500 mark. I think this is £800 for the OnePlus 8 Pro. For the smallest storage variant, but you've still got 128 gigabytes of storage with that. Essentially, if you are looking for something a little bit cheaper or a little bit different to Samsung, Apple, and the variety of the top end manufacturers, OnePlus is the one to go for. Yeah,
and it's interesting, you basically talked about it there, but OnePlus are always seen as the budget brand, right? You get a really good smartphone for less money, but this, but that. And this time there really are no buts, right? Like the camera's incredible and all these things. They've really stepped it up a gear, but obviously that's raised the price as well. But like you say, still the cheapest phone on this top 5 list. So definitely still worth considering if you're in the market.
Definitely, and it just feels like a smooth experience as well. That's something that hasn't always felt the same with OnePlus devices, but this time around it really does feel like that. There are still the odd little little butts with it. You still don't get micro SD, for example, so whichever storage variant you buy, you will get that for the life of its device. You won't be able to put a micro SD card into it. So there's a 128 gigabyte version. I think for most people that's probably fine, but if you are looking for, if you're going to be recording a lot of 4K video and a variety of, if you're just going to be filling it full of Netflix movies, you're probably going to want to go for the slightly higher storage variant there. Yeah, if you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, a little bit different, this is the OnePlus device to go for.
Absolutely. And you talk about this flagship device with this small but that it doesn't have an SD card slot, but of course that brings us swiftly on to number 2 on our list. Also, of course, doesn't have an SD card slot. It never has. The Apple iPhone 11 Pro / 11 Pro Max. We're going to couple them both in here at the number 2 spot. I think that's fair.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, like we say, these features that we're kind of talking about, wanting these flagship phones to have expandable storage, Apple's never done that. So what warrants putting the iPhone above, I guess, the OnePlus and in the number 2 slot?
The iPhone is still a fantastic device, especially if you're used to using an iPhone.
Yeah.
If you are already embedded into that user system, you're used to the UI, you're used to the apps, you bought all of your apps through that service, you should stick with it. That's usually my advice. If you already own an iPhone, you enjoy using it, you should look at the new iPhone. We've put together the iPhone 11 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max in position 2 because they are largely the same device. We're talking a slightly bigger screen, very slight different specs, but most of the time you're talking a slightly bigger battery to be able to power that slightly bigger screen. I would recommend the Max over the iPhone 11 Pro if you are just looking for pure power. But then again, the iPhone 11 Pro is a lot easier to use in the hand. If you're used to using small devices, that's the one to go for in that respect. Apple this year just again went up a notch already. They did some slight improvements here, but it's not our best phone in the world because it's still quite similar to the iPhone XS range.
Sure.
The design is largely similar. Slightly improved cameras. You've got slightly improved internals as well. You've got the Apple A13 Fusion chipset is the best that Apple's ever come up with, of course, because it's in their latest phone. The camera is slightly improved as well. Just if you're used to using an iPhone, this is the ones you want to be looking at. If you want something a little bit cheaper and you're looking for an iPhone, you've now got the choice of the iPhone SE, which features lower down in our normal best phone list if you look on the site, and again for the iPhone 11, which also features a bit lower as well.
Yeah, that's an important thing to bring up. This list is much longer on techradar.com, so please do head to the link in the description. There are plenty of phones that are more budget friendly and stuff like that in that longer list. But something interesting you brought up there, actually you brought up with the Note 10 Plus, sort of saying that maybe there's a Note 20 Plus on the horizon and maybe you should hold fire if you're looking for an S Pen. Obviously we expect the new iPhone every year, so with everything that's going on in the world, who knows, right? But usually September is iPhone Day. So what are we expecting improvement-wise from the iPhone 12?
Big design changes, essentially one of the main things we're expecting for the iPhone 12. It's going to look a little bit more like your iPhone 5 in sort of design language of being a little bit more square. If you've seen the most recent iPad Pro models, that's the sort of design we're starting to look at for the iPhone 12. 5G is going to be one of the big upgrades here. It looks like all four, and that's the other big upgrade. There's probably going to be 4 variants of the iPhone 12 rather than the 3 that we saw with the iPhone 11 series. 5G looks like it's going to be across the entire range, but only 2 of the phones will feature support for certain 5G networks, while the 2 higher end phones will have the best 5G connectivity in the world. We're not entirely sure on exactly what we'll see. We've got a full article on the site if you want to go see everything about the iPhone 12 at the moment. We are expecting September again. Personally, again, we don't know for certain. It's a very strange territory at the moment, considering the pandemic and everything that's going on in the world right now. I believe Apple will announce it in September, but we may see it launch a little bit later. We spoke about this on our podcast last week where we were talking about the iPhone 12, and a variety of different sources saying that manufacturing has been delayed slightly. So I think we're going to start seeing, I think we will still see the big event where the iPhone 12 is launched at the start of September. It may just be we wait until October, November to actually be able to buy the phone. Usually they come out 10 days after the launch event. I don't know if that's going to be possible this year. If it is possible, it may be that we only see certain variants, so it may just be the iPhone 12, the iPhone 12 Pro, and then the Max versions don't come out until later. But we'll just have to wait and see for that, really. If you like the look of the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone 11 Pro Max and you don't need to buy it right now, I would recommend waiting, because quite often, every single time there is a new iPhone, the price of the old iPhone goes down. So that's definitely worth your wait there as well. And we're in June right now. If you can wait until September, you might as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a difficult thing with phones, especially. There's always a new one on the horizon. When do you jump ship and buy the latest ones? You're always going to be outdated soon enough. But that brings us swiftly on to our number 1 pick, the best phone that you can buy right now, according to TechRadar. Huge, the Samsung Galaxy S20 and S20 Plus. So what puts this a cut above the rest?
Just slight little differences over the iPhone, essentially. You've got a higher refresh rate on the screen, which just makes it feel that a little bit smoother when you're running through different apps. There's a little bit more power in there. There's a variety of different things. Just everything, again, comes together with the Samsung. The cameras are absolutely brilliant on this device. I'm using it at the moment. I've got the Galaxy S20 here. Again, we've put the Galaxy S20 and the S20 Plus in one thing because, again, you're looking at battery and battery, storage size, and screen size are the main things you're going to be looking at here. If you want the slightly bigger screen or a little bit more battery, a little bit more storage, you're going to want to go for the Galaxy S20 Plus. I'm using the Galaxy S20 myself at the moment, and I reviewed that for the site. I still think it's a fantastic phone. It was a 4.5 star review, and it's just the best of Android essentially in just one package. If you are, it is very expensive. Again, I think the Galaxy S20 itself is around £900. The reason it is more expensive than last year's model is because it has 5G connectivity, and a lot of manufacturers are saying that it costs around £100 to put those kind of different elements in the 5G connectivity coils and all that kind of stuff, putting that into the device.
So I think, we mentioned it when we were talking about the iPhone, this idea that if you're already in the iPhone ecosystem and you enjoy it enough, then upgrading an iPhone is an easy decision, right? But if you're in that iPhone ecosystem and looking to jump ship, maybe which of these 5 phones would you recommend in that instance?
Oh, that is a good question.
Thank you.
The Galaxy S20 is genuinely a really good choice in that. It's not dissimilar in its UI and its sensibilities in that way. I'd also say OnePlus is quite sort of like the iPhone of Android in a way, in terms of its look and the way it works and the smoothness. Those would probably be the 2 devices I would start to look at if you are looking to jump ship. Again, you should start looking at your friends' Android phones and the variety of those kind of things, just to make sure you do like it, because when you have been using an iPhone for the last even perhaps 10 years, you've been used to everything that's there. You've been used to using Apple Music, you've been used to using all those different things. Switching to Android can be a little bit hard. It still will give you the same experience, and perhaps even a slightly better experience in some ways, because it's a little bit more open than iOS, but that change will be a little bit difficult for you. That's something you should probably bear in mind. But there's a variety of different apps now that allow you to transfer over to Android in that way, or even vice versa as well. It's definitely something you should consider doing, but try and do a bit of research around it before you do.
For sure. And maybe then it's just worth touching on why the S20 Ultra isn't at the top of this list, and why we've gone for the S20 and S20 Plus.
Sure. When we pull this list together, we bring in a variety of different details. We've got a huge matrix of loads of different elements. That is the bane of my life. But one of the big elements in there is price. We do try and consider price when it comes to the very best smartphone, and of course, we have considered that for all of these. You will notice that every device on this list is very expensive, but that's because the spec just outweighs it slightly. And if you are looking for a cheap phone, we have guides on that to the site as well. So just search for best cheap phone on TechRadar and you'll find that. The S20 Ultra is remarkably more expensive than Galaxy S20 models. It is a absolutely huge phone as well. I've used it myself, and I've found it genuinely quite difficult to use because it is quite a weighty device in that way. The camera is also spec heavy and quite impressive in that way, but it does struggle a little bit more than the Galaxy S20 in its automatic modes. So if you're just looking for the general best camera element in a Samsung phone, go for the Galaxy S20. If you're looking for that telephoto camera, which is genuinely jaw-dropping, but you're probably going to struggle to find a use case scenario for that, go for the Galaxy S20 Ultra. But again, you're looking at £400 more than the Galaxy S20, and the Galaxy S20 costs enough in itself anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned it then, but when we tried the S20 Ultra's ultra zoom, it was, like you say, jaw-dropping at first, and then you kind of go, well, when would I ever use this? Like, it's ridiculous, and it is relatively low quality as soon as you get far enough in. So it's like, what is the point, really? It's a bit of a gimmick, really, isn't it? Party trick.
Yeah, it's really fun to play around with, and like it's blown people's minds when I've shown it to them. Before the pandemic happened, I managed to show it to one person at a party. Just playing around with those kind of features is really fun, and if that's the sort of thing you want from your phone, and so again, the party trick, you're right. Then maybe go for that. But in terms of day-to-day use, you probably want a camera that's going to just automatically take the best photo. The Galaxy S20 Ultra can do that, but you can also get that from the Galaxy S20 as well. So why not go for the slightly cheaper phone?
Exactly. And we'll leave it there. I think, James, thank you so much for joining me. Like we've mentioned all the way through, there is a much longer list of our favorite phones on techradar.com, so please do head there, read all the articles, read all the reviews, the full reviews for these phones as well. It's worth checking out. And of course, as I mentioned at the top of the video, all of the best deals you can find right now on these phones are at links in the description as well, so check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Please do head over to techradar.com. Please subscribe, please like the video, and we'll see you next time.